In this video, we will be going over your next project, which is the repertoire project. You'll need to check the spreadsheet file for your assigned piece. There are 3 collections that we are working on as a class. Each student is assigned 1 song. There's a collection by Gurlitt, a collection by Straybog, and a collection by Skuta, not how it would be pronounced in English, but Skuta. It's a piece of Skuta, not a piece of something else. Okay, he's a Danish composer. So hopefully you've already watched my last video on speedy entry, and this will help you to be even faster at entering notes. So I'm going to start entering this piece of Skuta to help you understand some of the things that are going to come up in repertoire assignments. Not all of you will have the same things required of you in this assignment, but you might in future assignments. So hopefully this will be a help for everybody. One thing I want to make sure is do not enter in finger numbers. Besides being very tedious, those are just one editor's finger numbers and oftentimes not the composer's. So we are going to skip putting in finger numbers. Okay, so I'm doing this number 4 of Skuta to help show you how to do it. So I'm going to do a new document with Setup Wizard. I'm going to do the engraved style. I'm going to do the grand staff. All right, my piece is called for composer Luis Skuta, Opus 68, number 4. We are in common time. Our key signature is 2 flats. My initial tempo marking is Andantino Cantabile. That's a good question, how many measures? I'm just going to leave it as 31 and add or take away measures later. I do have a pickup measure right there. So I'm going to specify a quarter note pickup measure. That's going to make me put in a tempo. Whatever. I'll take it out later. Okay, you'll notice that it did make me put in a tempo marking. If I hit my escape button, it will switch from speedy entry to the selection tool, which is what I want. I want to delete my subtitle. I want to delete my grayed out arranger. I want to control click or right click, edit my text expression definition. Then I can come in and take out the tempo. Okay. The very first thing you'll notice is that I have 2 note heads going on in my soprano part. So for that, you're going to need to know how to put in layers. Okay, so for layers, you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner we have layer 1. If we click on these arrow buttons, we'll get layer 1, 2, 3, 4. This is for instances like this example where we need double stems. So in layer 1, I'm going to put in my quarter note. And in layer 2, I have to select layer 2, and I will put in my 8th notes. And you might notice that layer 2 is in red. It doesn't print that way, no worries. It just is that way for now. So that is how you do double layers. Okay, you'll notice that my stems beamed across 4 eighth notes, but my original doesn't do that. So I'm going to go to my 3rd note And I'm going to hit my question mark slash key, and that will break or beam a beam. Depending on which note head is selected, you will break or connect those beams. So that is how you do that. I want you to also know that layer 3 is green and layer 4 is blue. Now if it were me, I would only use levels 1 and 2 in the treble clef and layers 1 and 2 in the bass clef. I would not do a layer 1, 2, 3, 4 like I just did. Like I just demonstrated, I would do another layer 1. And then if I needed to, a layer 2. Just keep track of those layers. While I'm on the subject of layers, let's say that you accidentally put a bunch of notes in, but you put it in the wrong layer. There is a way for you to move layers. Just want you to be aware of it. It's in the edit tool. You would select what you've done. If you go to edit, move copy layers, I can move the contents of layer 1 into layer 3 or layer 4 or vice versa. So that way, if you did something incorrectly, you could move those layers and you'd still be alright. I'm going to move layer 2 into layer 3. Okay, just so you know how to do that for the future. Okay, I'm back with number 22 by Skuta. I wanted to go over how to change clefs. You'll notice in measure 3, I have a clef change. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to my Clef Tool, which is represented with a bass clef logo. I'm going to double click in measure 3 where my clef change occurs. I'm going to select the bass clef. By default, it will ask me what measure region I want that to occur for. By default, it's measure 3 to the next clef change. Sometimes I'm going to want to make it that way permanently. Sometimes I'm going to want to dictate a measure region where I want that to happen through. But till the next clef change is fine for now. And you'll notice it gives me the clef right before the bar line, which is exactly how I wanted it in my piece. Now you'll notice in measure 5, I have another clef change back to the treble clef, but it happens mid-measure. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my notes here for measure 5. I have an F sharp, a C, and a D. And from there, I need to go to my clef tool. I'm going to draw a box by clicking, holding, and dragging around the second half of the measure. Then I'm going to double click in the blue, and I get my clef change dialog box. I need to go back to treble clef, and I want that to happen through my next clef change. I hit OK, and you'll notice that I have that change made for me. And I can put in the rest of my notes in the treble clef. And it's just like I have it in my original. Back to Skuta number 4, you'll notice that there is a little text instruction here that says col pedal, which means with pedal. And we need to be able to put that in our piece. We have a expressions tool that's represented with the mezzo forte logo. And if I double click, that will show me the dynamics, the tempo marks, the tempo alterations, expressive text, technique text, rehearsal marks, and miscellaneous. You're also able to put in your own. You'll notice there is one for pedal, but I'm going to add one by clicking on Create Expressive Text. So I need it to say coal pedal. And you'll notice that by default, it already has my text in italics. But if not, I could select my text, or I could uncheck this box and be able to put in bold, italics, underlines, whatnot. But that's exactly how I want it, so I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to hit Assign, and it assigns it to my staff there. You'll notice that coming up later, I have a poco a poco indication, and I'm going to use my exact same tool, and hopefully I'll be able to find that. If not, I can create it. I'm not seeing it there, so I'm going to put that in. I do have the ritardando there, so I can create poco poco, and I can put the rit before it with the shortcut key R. Okay, now I want to do a little work on a piece of Gurlitt's. You'll notice that he has some 16th notes going on. Let me go to 8th notes. And he's curiously put these in the bass clef. You'll notice I have a third above. If I just hit 3 in simple entry, it'll give me a third above that note. Okay, so I've inputted the notes for the first 2 measures. But my second note here needs to be down a clef. To do that, I can highlight the note. I can hit Option down, and it will cross staff notate my note. I hit Option down or Alt down, and it cross staffs that note. You'll notice that the note beams are still a little bit off. They're a little bit to the wrong direction. I can change that. When I click on Special Tools, my Special Tools palette opens up. I have a beam angle tool, which will allow me to change the beam angle by clicking and holding and dragging that handle so that my beam looks more like my original. I'm going to hit my left arrow key, I'm going to hit my slash key and beam those together so that I look a little bit closer to my original. However, you'll notice I also have a layer problem. I have double stemmed notes, so I'm going to move, copy layers, contents of layer 1 into layer 2, and I'm going to go back and put in layer 1, now that's kind of a nasty thing Finale did. They put in my rests, but they put them in way higher than I want them. I can click and drag them and get them just where I want. I can also get them pink and kind of nudge them with my arrow keys. So that helps too. So now my second measure looks pretty much exactly like my original, with the exception of my staccato marks, which are S and S under my articulation tool. So that's a little bit on how to do cross staff notation. One of the things that occurs in this example, number 12 of Scuta, is a rest between beams in the left hand. If I hit my right arrow key, I hit my rest, but my beams aren't there. I'm just going to hit my left arrow key twice, hit my slash key, / key, and it'll beam across the rest. No problem. Here's an example where Scuta is beaming across bar lines, which is a little strange, a little rare, I would say. Let's see if we can get that to happen. So I'm going to come up here to Plugins, Note, Beam, and Rest Editing, Patterson Plugins Lite, Beam over Bar Lines, Create, and it will do that for me. So if you are the lucky winner and get number 14 by Scuta, you'll need to use that Patterson Lights plugin, which again is Plugins, Note, Beam, and Rest Editing, Patterson Plugins Lite, Beam over Bar Lines, Create. Okay, so I've been working on number 19 by Scuta. I've got all my right hand notes in for the first 4 lines, and you'll notice at the end of line 4 we have a double bar line. To get that bar line put into our score, we need to go to the measure tool, which looks like a measure with a whole rest in it. I'm going to double click my measure and it'll ask me what kind of bar line do I want. I can make that a normal, a double, final, solid, dashed, invisible, tick, custom. I can also change my left bar lines if I want. So I just need it to be a double. Click OK, and I got my double bar line there. Okay, for the next little bit after that double bar line, we have a forward-facing repeat sign, and that is going to take us through a first ending. It'll take us back to that forward-facing repeat sign to a second ending. So I want to show you how to put those repeat signs in. I'm going to use my repeat tool, which looks like this, a repeat sign logo there. I'm going to double click this measure and I'm going to put a forward facing. By default it's already selected. I click on select. There's my forward facing repeat sign. Okay, to create our first and second ending, we are going to select the 2 measures where we want using our selection tool. I can hold down shift, my down arrow button, and keep holding shift and hit my right arrow button, or I can click, hold, and drag a box around those 2 boxes to select those 2 measures. I'm going to select the repeat tool. I'm going to control click or right click and select where it says create first and second endings. By default, I have my first ending in and my second ending in, and that matches exactly up with my original. So that's how to create a first and second ending repeat sign. Okay, just a few more loose ends, random things that come up in different songs that we're inputting. One of which is a grace note. You'll notice that this grace note has a slash through it. In your simple entry palette, you have a grace note here. And you can click that note and it will put in that grace note. Sometimes grace notes call for not having the slash. To get rid of the slash in the grace note, you're going to come to Document, Document Options, Grace Notes, and you can check or uncheck always slash flagged grace notes. So that's how you do that. Another one that comes up is 8VA, or to play an octave higher. That shows up here in our Smart Shape tool. On the Smart Shape tool palette, there's an 8VA. You're going to double click, hold, and drag, and you'll notice it will select which note head to end that octave above. So that's how you do the 8VA. While we are in here, I'm going to get rid of the slash grace note. I'm going to put in a chord. I'm going to hit Alt-3 to put in a chord, all thirds. Some scores call for a rolled chord symbol. Some of you may not have even seen that before. It's called the glissando tool here in Finale. But if they want a chord rolled, select the glissando tool. You can make that a rolled chord. Another accent that shows up is a TP accent in your articulation tool. You double click, it's like a little TP. V will give you that shortcut if you have, or hold down V, draw your box, and there's your accents. Okay, to make a line, a custom line, there's many ways to do it. There's a custom line tool, and if you notice here on the bottom, it says to option click the tool to select what kind of line you want. So if I just want a straight line, or if I want to put in a glissando mark later, this is also where the pedal marks are for piano, bowing marks for other instruments. So I could just select a normal line, double click my start point, drag, let go on my end point, and there's my custom line. I know that shows up in one of the Gurlit examples, so I just wanted to go over that. Also back here in simple entry, we have some specific pitches. Sometimes a double sharp comes up. I just wanted you guys to know how to get that in with the X there. So I go to simple edit commands, accidentals, and I can get my double sharp, my double flat, my natural sign. That's all there as well. So hopefully we've given you everything you need to get in your notes and articulation marks and all other markings for your repertoire project. If not, please either put it up on the discussion board, the How Do Ya discussion board, or send me an email through Canvas, and we'll get those questions answered for you. Good luck on this project.